What's up? How y'all doing? The University of Memphis Department of Theater and Dance presents Food and Stuff.
We got food and stuff. We got food and stuff. We got food and stuff. We got food and stuff.
Hey! Welcome to Food and Stuff with Matthew and Lance. I'm Matthew.
I'm Lance.
And this is where we eat food and we talk about stuff.
That's true.
This episode of Food and Stuff, we will be talking about R and J and Z.
Romeo and Juliet and Zombies. A play written by Melody Bates that dives into the end of Act 5 in Romeo and Juliet. And zombies up here.
This video today is sponsored by Central Barbecue. Central Barbecue originated in the mid-'80s on the barbecue competition circuit. And it became a restaurant in 2002. Since then, they have appeared on Food Network shows, Pitmasters, The Best Thing I Ever Ate, and Barbecue with Bobby Flay. They have also appeared in the Southern Living magazine, Men's Health, and on TLC. They believe in fall off the bone meat, Southern hospitality, and good times.
Woohoo! Shit! Joining us on the show today to help us eat this delicious Central Barbecue and talk about R&J and Z a little bit, we'll have the director and the stars, Romeo and Juliet. Woo! The director, Hinojos, is a third-year grad director here at the U of M Department of Theater and Dance. He has directed multiple shows here at the U of M, such as Or, Lest We Forget, and he also was featured as an actor in Inherit the Wind.
Also joining us today, we have our Juliet, Allie Milan. Allie is a senior musical theater major here at the University of Memphis. She has been in productions such as Be More Chill, I and You, Emma, and Working the Musical.
And our Romeo here today is Will McAdoo Draper, who is here as a junior performance major and making his main stage debut.
All right, so I want to say thanks to Moy, Ali, and Will for joining us on the show today. Happy you guys are here.
Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, awesome. So we got some Central Barbecue. Matthew, what can you tell us about the first thing we're eating?
So the first thing we're eating is their pulled pork sandwich, which is an award-winning barbecue dated back to the 1980s that they've been selling locally since 2002.
Sick.
Also, let's dig in. We also have two sauces with it. We've got the mild barbecue sauce and the mild hot sauce.
That's the hot sauce. Matthew, where'd you get your facts from?
Their website.
Of course. Central Barbecue, link right here.
Holy crap.
It's good, but I'm from Texas, so I still gotta represent the Texas barbecue.
The same. Shots fired.
People was getting cut out.
Central, you're amazing. So, a general question for all of you guys. What can you tell us about our Jay-Z? What is it? Like, Romeo and Juliet and zombies.
I'm gonna hit him what he's eating.
Okay, so I usually want to talk with a mouthful. So what it is, it's not a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. It's a continuation of their story, and it gives them the second chance that a lot of us want them to have. They really, it's a tragedy that everybody loves, and people tend to forget that it's called the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet and not Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
And what I really like about the show is that it gives them that second chance. It gives us that second chance to have that as an audience and patrons that go see the show, that we were robbed from, to see them from what they could have been. And it just takes off in a different turn of events. But we still get that for them, which I really like.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Moy, where did your love for horror come from? Where did that come from, and what led you to choosing to do Romeo and Juliet dramas?
It came from being completely debilitated by my fear of things. As a kid, when I was growing up, I was very shielded from those kinds of stuff. And my fascination with zombies, which is my favorite monster in the whole genre of horror and supernatural, zombies is my favorite monster. And the reason why is, when I was 6, my dad showed me for the first time ever the video for the song Thriller by Michael Jackson. And I never even heard of a concept of a zombie at that point in time.
Right.
So when I started seeing them come out, I flipped out. I was like, they can do that? And it scared me for weeks that I had like trouble sleeping and trying to convince that they weren't real. And I was like, no, they're coming. Like we have to be ready. But it sparked a lifetime fascination of like, where does this myth come from? It led me to research like, you know, the original Hinojos zombie and how they've been portrayed through pop culture over the years, and how these things, you know, as I began to get interested in the arts and being a storyteller,
Right.
How does that affect that mob mentality that zombies have that we can translate it to like modern events? Like, what kind of impact does that have on us as people, and pushing that envelope of the human condition and what people are willing to do is at the heart of every artist, no matter what type of art you do. But as a storyteller, horror, to me, fear teaches you more than anything in life. It will show you how far you're willing to go, who's really important in your life. It will teach you what your limits are, what limits you're willing to break, and what limits you aren't. And that's, to me, a teacher that you can't get anywhere else.
That's an answer.
I'm gonna let them talking when I eat my burger.
Oh yeah, of course. Allie,
Yes.
Hey.
Hi.
this is your what, 4th show here at the U of M?
Yeah.
How does this role process differ from the others?
Well, zombies, obviously, that's new and different, but this is also my first play.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been a musical gal up until now, so this has pushed me in so many different ways. I think before this I've done like maybe 2 plays, if that. So it's forced me to really buckle down in like what we learn in class and really pick apart a character in a different way and in a deeper way, because as we've learned, like musical scripts, librettos sometimes miss that kind of storytelling aspect. But yeah, the script is crazy. It's pushed me in so many different ways.
Right.
Moy's been great and pushed me a lot, but yeah, it's been
So
fun.
now, Will, how does this interpretation of Romeo differ from the typical Dream Boy, Leonardo DiCaprio interpretation that we usually see?
Dream Boy. Okay, yeah. So nothing says sexy like murdering a bunch of people. So I'd say like, yeah, right. The previous, all the Romeos and like, you know, because you have all the killing that leads up to where the show actually starts. Like Moy said, it's the telling of it. It's the continuation of Romeo and Juliet. Man, that was a question I asked myself, and I actually talked to Moy about it too, is like struggling to find that difference between your stereotypical Romeo, your Leo, your, oh, I defy you stars, little romanticist guy, and there's the Romeo that you see in the show. And it really dawned on me that it wasn't exactly that he had this difference from the end of Romeo and Juliet to the beginning of Romeo and Juliet and Zombies, but actually it was like an amplification of what he really felt. You know, it's that he really fought internally for this for so long, and it just so happened that all of Romeo and Juliet, the way he was able to get to that moment was all his external physical action. You know, he was a killer through and through until, you know, he actually killed himself. So I think that the difference is that he, in this one, you don't get to see really, you get to see the amplified version of the Dream Boy. You get to see the Dream Boy without, you know, these boundaries that he had in life. So
Cool. All right, next, what do we got next?
Next, we have their wings. We have their dry rub wings and their wet rub wings. They that's not fast. I'll tell you, that's a tongue twister and a half. So Lloyd, our next question is once again for you. So we understand that this show has kind of an animated thing to it. Now, what was your inspiration for that?
My inspiration for that was when I read the script. As I read the script, it didn't really feel like a play the way you. We got him good. Read a play. I'm the type of director that I see images. I never see the full show develop in my head. I see images that imprint on me as I read. And as I read this show, the way it's written, with the addition of these two new characters that aren't part of the original Shakespeare show, that are part of this show, that you guys will see when you come to the show. I started reading to me a lot more of what I know when I read in mangas and animes I've seen, because we have these three different storylines that are very intricately woven together. And I see the aspect of where, with the comedy that lied in it, the action that required it, and for me to treat this as it really had them because it's not really a period play. It's a language play, but it's not necessarily a traditional period play. So it felt like this story could be easily put in an anime series, and it would work because the events that happen behind it are that kind of hyped up and the right kind of ridiculous that makes you want to laugh.
Yeah,
That makes you want to be like, of course it is. Like, of course it is. Because there's moments that happen in the show. They're like, I mean, cartoon logic, absolutely, yes. And that's not because the show is not suited for the stage. It just means that somebody older, not my age, who's never seen anime would have never made that connection. So it really, this just tells you how you can interpret things. But that's how I saw it, because that's how I read the story. It's how it imprinted to me as I read it.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. So, Allie, I got a question for you similar to Will's
Okay.
earlier. How is this portrayal of Juliet different from the classic? Like,
Yeah, like Will said, I struggled for a while trying to figure out the circumstances, and Juliet is so strong in this play, and so when you're looking back to Romeo and Juliet, you don't really see her as strong. And then we had a Zoom meeting with Melody Bates, the playwright, and I asked her a question about Juliet, and she was like, Juliet's always been strong. And I was like, oh my gosh. So you take away the constraints of society, and that's kind of what the play is about. It's going off of instinct, and you have this second chance, and she is now allowed to be strong. And she wasn't before because of society. And so it's kind of this awakening for her, and unleashing of instinct and strength and being allowed to be herself.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Now, Will, so you mentioned earlier that you kind of were trying to go away from the classic DiCaprio, Loverboy, Romeo. So where have you been drawing your inspiration for the character from?
So, where I draw so when I first heard from Moy, or I guess from the concept that it was going to be anime, I was like, there's no way I can base my physicality and my, I would say with Shakespeare, there's a very set in stone how you're going to approach your lines. And so when I approach like who I'm going to like see as a character, like I want to base my character off this, or like the physicality, or the emotional standpoint, or even the way like the character talks. With Shakespeare, that got hard because Shakespeare's delivered a certain way, and it's hard to steer away from that. But with the script and with how Melody wrote it, it was very, very. I was able to approach it as a different way, and so what better than to approach it from an anime standpoint? And so I went back and I watched a bunch of anime, and so I was like, I gotta find my anime character. And so one of my favorite animes, very cliche, is Attack on Titan. And I was like, who is like this emotional boy who like has this inner dialogue to himself and like it's constantly finding like that beauty in the emotion? I was like, Eren Yeager. Eren Yeager is this sensitive, like he's sensitive from start to finish, and then he has these big break points where you actually like see the strength in him. And I was like, that's Romeo. He's sensitive, he's emotional, and then he has these moments where you're like, okay, this dude's pretty strong. And so Eren Yeager, hands down, is where I was like basing exactly like, I was like, this.
All right, guys. So this last question is kind of just like a general question for all of you. What would be your favorite part about the show, or is there anything in the show that we should like, I don't know, be on the lookout for? Anything
I mean, there.
Anything you want to tell all the people?
Don't bring kids. There are a lot of parts that I'm in love with that they happen, and I just keep watching over and over because there is one scene. I'm not gonna tell you which one it is, but there's one scene where I wrote a note to myself and I put, "What have I done?" But I think one of my favorite scenes in this show is Act 3, Scene 2, and it is when we see really the characters kind of break through. What Ellie and Will were talking about how their characters are different from what we know of Romeo and Juliet, and what Ellie said about Juliet being allowed to be strong, and I would amend that to say she allows herself to be strong. She stops the restraints that she always had. No one gave it. She just said, "I'm done, and this is who I am." And it's in that that kind of essence kind of drives that scene, and it drives the scene to end in a very campy, quasi-romantic, I don't know if I should keep on looking at kind of scene, but it's funny and it's endearing, and it makes it fun to watch, not just because you're watching, you're like, come on, you know exactly what's happening, you're like, come on. But the anime aspect, this suspended disbelief, that it's fantasy, and it makes it even better, and it makes it okay to watch, which is what I really enjoy, and the energy that the actors in that scene bring to it, I really enjoy every night. So that is one of my favorites.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Now, I have a bit of a curveball question. Lance doesn't know I'm going to do this, but our very own Food and Stuff's Lance Rakes is in the show.
Whoa!
That's right.
Y'all, so this is kind of a question for all three of y'all. Tell me, how's it been working with Lance? I know I enjoy it, but it's different.
Terrible.
It's terrible?
No, it's great. I guess I'll say it because we have our brother bond in the show. Wish I got to spend more time with him as Balthazar and Romeo. Maybe Romeo Juliet Zombies 2. Lance, this is my first show with Lance. I mean, granted, there's been a path, but this is my first show with Lance, and it's just from day one. I remember it was really funny because we were in here and we were in the little storage room, and from day one doing our scene, I'm just ready to go on bug, do the traditional. We're gonna make a choice or two, and turn around, and Lance has hangers and clothing and candlestick, and I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, it says we have this shit in our hands, man. And I was like, well, I guess we're gonna go with it. I don't know. Yeah, he came back, and it was and that's when I was like, we're gonna have fun with this. It's he immediately saw the opportunity. It was we're gonna make these choices heavily, and so that was my first real impression of having Lance as an actor in the room. And it was really cool.
Thank you. That's awesome.
I mean, I really, this is my second time working with Lance. The first time he was not a director-actor relationship, it was an actor-actor relationship. And I've always enjoyed his energy. I've always enjoyed the honesty that it brings, because I see a spark in everything he does. And one of the things that I like most about your work is that it's balls to the wall. You just go. You're one of the few actors that I never have to say go forward. I often be like, yes, come back a little bit. And so I saw that, we worked together in Inherit the Wind. And I saw Josh give you those same notes that I found myself giving you. It's but it's just your natural